First time leaving my body. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's someone, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Safe and Sound. The drug used was Dextromethorphan and Cannabis at a dose of 1100 milligrams. The route of administration, orally, gender, male, age, 18. His prior experience includes ecstasy, LSD, alcohol, and cannabis. And the setting, at a party. Okay, today, we're bringing back another report that was sent in by Safe and Sound. His first time taking DXM. For whatever reason, he saw 1100 milligrams to be a good starting dose, which isn't too surprising considering looking back at the last report we covered of his. He took diphenhydramine for the first time at 600 milligrams and combined it with 600 milligrams of DXM. To say the least, Safe and Sound didn't have a ton of care during this time and thought he was somewhat invulnerable to a degree. But in this report, the 1100 milligrams shows to be far more than enough and just floors him, especially considering his setting was at a party with the boys. The DXM showed no mercy, and the trip came in very strongly. He vomits all over the place and loses his ego pretty quickly, seeing it dissolve into various interesting hallucinations. This is a classic report and a hell of a ride for a first DXM trip. I'm happy to be bringing this back, and if you haven't seen this yet, just wait, we got a classic coming up. So let's waste no more time. Without further ado, let's dive right into this. My first DXM trip. It almost killed me. I could have easily died. Straight up. It was very incredible that I experienced no real harm, that I know of. At just 18 years old, I was completely heart set on having a big, profound, psychedelic experience. I had a little experience with ecstasy, a handful of LSD trips under my belt, I had drank, I had smoked impressive amounts of weed already in my life, but I was looking for more, I suppose. One way or another, I failed to get any traditional psychedelics, and inadvertently stumbled across a video about DXM. I wasn't sure about it at first, but eventually, the idea of being able to buy a hallucinogenic drug at almost any of the local stores, at practically any time of the day, started to seem way too good to be true. I had to try it for myself. I watched the video again and decided that I was going to be a hero. I tried the 4th plateau on my first ever robo trip. I calculated on my dose with an online calc. It came to about 1100 milligrams. I chose to use Robitussin cough gels, so I ended up getting 5 boxes. My dumbass chose to trip on this substance for the first time at a party. A flipping shindig full of bros smoking weed, drinking beer, and hanging out playing video games, all while blasting hip-hop music and party music. I dosed just before actually entering the house. We all started the way we normally would, in a big circle, passing around hell at once. I got absolutely fried before the trip even started. We were only smoking for about 30 minutes when I went full exorcist mode and projectile vomited bright crimson puke all over the coffee table in the middle of our circle. I felt like my stomach wanted to eject itself up and out through my ribcage. I scurried to the back porch and continued heaving and getting sick for 20 minutes. No joke. I cleaned myself off and noticed I felt so weird and different, much more social, and so very relaxed. I rejoined the group, but within a half hour, I was back to hurling off the porch. I was exhausted and dizzy when I finally finished being sick, so I stumbled over to an empty couch and lay down on it. I felt as if I was dying. I was shivering, sweating, and I couldn't see my 2 feet in front of my face. And the music sounded like an insanely loud Game Boy track. Then, nothing. Total blackness. The music faded into a quieter, slower, and more calm muffled version of itself. My subconscious went silent. Then my perception darted through this colossal tunnel made of slow swirling, double helix rings of various colors. I wasn't surprised or shocked. It all seemed totally normal to me. My consciousness slowed down and gently floated through the tunnel. Eventually, I met 2 silhouette-style geometric entities, one purple and one yellow. They reminded me of people in morph suits, or like people in an abstract painting. They each took one of my hands, leading me to this incomprehensibly massive planetary-sized labyrinth. The yellow character glided around and acted like an excited kid exploring a playground, while the purple dude slowly stumbled back and forth, occasionally stretching or sitting down. Neither of them said a word. They didn't even have mouths. But I knew in my mind that both of them were versions of my inner self, depending on my mood or environment. It makes me reminisce of the movie Inside Out, in a weird way. When I woke up to the physical world, I was still severely intoxicated, probably high second plateau. I couldn't believe only 3 hours had passed since I lay down on the couch. After stumbling around, feeling mentally handicapped for about 2 hours, I slept off the rest of the experience. I can still vividly picture the world I visited and painfully reimagine how awful I felt before I lost contact with my body. I should have actually went to the hospital, if not via ambulance, at least the next morning, in case I had detectable signs of damage. I question if my stomach or liver healed entirely. I wonder if I had a seizure or something similar when I look back at the way it felt. I really can't stress enough how incredibly harmful excessiveness is when you get involved with DXM. Any drug really, but DXM in particular is so readily available that this easily becomes a serious issue. Danger is a real risk, either through huge doses that, granted, probably don't kill you, but definitely aren't good for you, or through using it too often and forming a habit. DXM to me is more of a hard drug than I ever anticipated.